Hello once again everyone and welcome back to another video. This one is coming out a little late and I apologize, but let's move on. So, as the title suggests, for this video, I am going to be reading an old screenplay that I wrote in university. It's the same university course that I took one summer where I came up with the concept for my current project, the Nobunaga universe. So basically, it's called Cold Steel, and it takes place in this alternate universe in which a type of fencing called HEMA, Historical European Martial Arts, becomes like really big, really popular. It's basically like the boxing of the world. The main character, he's kind of like a fencer, and he's involved with like organized crime, and it's an interesting little story. I wrote it because I myself am a practitioner of HEMA, or I was. I haven't practiced in 3 years, but I have about 3.5 years of active experience, and it's kind of actually a slight ripoff of a YouTube video that I had seen before, which had a similar-ish concept. So yeah, we're just gonna jump straight into the story. I will give a few warnings though. First of all, this is one of the first screenplays that I ever wrote, so it does have a few technical weaknesses in my opinion. It is very tropey, but it's still very raw fun that I put a lot of my heart and soul into. So, oh, and also this screenplay uses a lot stronger language that I typically tend to use in my more modern writing, so, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So, here we go.
Exterior, Chicago alleyway, night. The sound of the Chicago L transit system clacking along the track. The wind whooshes, blowing over discarded newspapers and other litter. Mickey, late 20s, tall, muscular, bald head with a slight shadow, scar over his left eye, rests his back against a dumpster. Near him is a door. Techno music can be heard coming out of it. He pulls out a pack of cigarettes from his leather jacket. He takes one, lights it, and smokes. The sound of two voices can be heard through the door. At first, it is hard to hear what is being said, but they grow louder. Two people are arguing, and several expletives can be heard. The door flings open. Alice, late 30s, medium height, medium weight, short black hair, is pushed out by Bouncer. She lands on her back. She stands back up, brushing herself off. Try that again, asshole. You just try that again and see what happens. Look, you're being a real nuisance, lady. I already said that Ramon doesn't want to see you. Now scram. Wait, maybe I can make it worth your while. She reaches into her pocket and pulls out her wallet. She opens it, pulling out a $100 bill and waves it around. The bouncer stares at her for a second and takes the money. See, I knew that we could help each other out. Now if you could just... Get lost, lady. The bouncer slams the door in front of her. Alice furiously bangs against the door. Give me back my money, asshole! So help me God if you don't open this door right now! Mickey laughs. What the hell are you laughing at, Mickey? Didn't I already predict that this was going to happen? There was no way that Ramon was going to see you after what happened down in the south side. Look, that was 3 years ago. I figured he'd have forgotten by now. Well, obviously he didn't. You're lucky he didn't put a bullet in you. Yeah? Well, you're lucky that I don't put a bullet in you, jackass. What the hell was that? Why'd you let that jerk treat me like that? I thought it was funny. Mickey takes another puff from his cigarette. Hey, didn't I tell you to quit that stuff? You can't fight if you can't breathe. Like I need to worry about that. It's the underground circuit, Alice. No one worth their salt fights in that thing. Well, I guess that includes you too then. Now hurry up. It's already really late and at this rate it'll be another 5 or 6 stops before we can book you anything. Mickey pulls out a trash bag from the dumpster. And I wish you'd get a better bag for your stuff. I like to think it's a metaphor for the manager I have. Yeah, fuck you too! Plus, it's a bit of an anti-theft thing. Not many people are going to go looking inside of a trash bag, especially inside a dumpster. It pains me to see how far you've fallen, kid. It really does. Yeah? And whose fault was that? Mickey finishes his cigarette, flicking it off into the distance. Interior, Madison Square Garden, night. The arena is packed with spectators. The sound of the crowds cheering is exceptionally loud. Bright lights make it hard to see anything but their silhouettes. Mickey, a few years younger, still bald but without the shadow, missing the scar over his eye, stands at his corner of the mat. He is wearing a heavy fencer's jacket and various other protective gear. Everything except for the helmet. A much younger Alice is also there with him. His opponent, full head of hair, green fencing jacket, shorter than Mickey but very muscular, stares at him from the opposite side. And now, for the main card of the night, the moment that you've all been waiting for, the World HEMA Association Longsword Championship bout. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our competitors. The announcer's voice drifts into the background. Audiences are betting 3-1 against you, Mickey. You're going to have to take a dive. What? Mickey stares at her in disbelief. I worked real hard to get this title. This guy's a nobody. I ain't letting him take it from me. Yeah, I know he's a nobody. You know he's a nobody. Everyone in this whole goddamn arena knows he's a nobody. but that's why they want him to win. People love a good underdog story. Sorry, kid. You know what? To hell with you and to hell with Mr. Park or Mr. Columbo or whoever set this up. I don't do deals with gangsters. I'm in this for me, not for the money, and I told you that from the start. Mickey Morrison. Mickey smiles and waves at the audience. And now, let the battle begin. Fencers, ready yourselves. Hey, Mickey. Alice puts her hand on Mickey's shoulder, but he shoves it off. She sighs and hands him his sword. Mickey puts on his mask and readies himself. Fencers ready? Fight! Mickey rushes at his opponent. He swings his sword at his head with lightning speed. It is a clear hit. The opponent was unable to block it in time. Point! The two return to their corners. 4 points for blue corner. Strike to head. Fencers ready? Fight! The opponent tries to rush close into Mickey, taking advantage of his shorter stature. He swings his sword at Mickey's shoulder. Mickey catches it with his own. The blades bind. Mickey quickly wraps his left arm around his opponent's arms and twists his body so that his opponent can't move. He smashes his pommel against his opponent's helmet. Point! 4 points for blue. Fencers ready. Fight! Exterior, Chicago alleyway. Night. An older Mickey, alone, smokes a cigarette. He rubs his fingers over his scar. Another door, more techno music. Alice walks out and shakes her head. Mickey grabs his bag. They leave. Interior, Madison Square Garden. Night. The crowd is roaring. People are chanting Mickey's name. The scoreboard shows Mickey with 20 points. His opponent has 0. Red corner calls timeout. Mickey takes off his mask. He's barely sweating. Mickey, please. Stop. You're not changing my mind. God damn it, Mickey, just listen to me for a second. You have to lose. Alice, I don't know if you've seen the scoreboard, but that's not going to happen. Honestly, I'm surprised this guy even made it out of amateurs. Mickey. Timeout period has ended. Fencers ready. Exterior, Chicago street. Night. Alice walks ahead, grumbling to herself. Mickey trails behind. He stops, looking up at a billboard in the distance. It reads, May 27th, World HEMA Longsword Association Championship. Hardy vs. Kim. Pay-per-view. Mickey laughs. Alice, confused, looks back at Mickey. She then turns to see what he's looking at. What's so funny about that? I'm just thinking about that guy I fought back then. Which one? You know which one. Alice sighs. I was just thinking, if I let him win, would I be seeing his name on that billboard right now? No. You'd have a rematch, get your title back, and everyone would have forgotten about him. That's how it was supposed to go down. How do you know that? Who's to say that they wouldn't have ordered me to take another dive at the rematch? Mickey, that wouldn't have happened. No, it definitely would have. Yeah? And you know that how? You're forgetting who my father was. Alice is silent for a moment. Look, Mickey, I really am sorry. It might not seem like it, but I've really busted my ass off to get you another shot at the title. But you could have done more. What more could I have done, Mickey? Honestly, tell me right now because I'd love to know. When everyone else left you, I was still there. When your own father disowned you, I was still there. When Mr. Columbo greenlit you back in New York, I was there with you on the bus to Chicago the whole trip. And what do I get for this? I get to hear nothing but shit from my kid sister's baby boy day in and day out. You aren't the only one that's lost everything. Just because you couldn't keep your fucking pride in check for one stupid match. A limousine pulls up to the curb. Mickey and Alice stare at it. Oh shit, what now? The window rolls down. Roland, skinny, goatee, a tattoo of a bear on his neck, expensive tuxedo, looks out at them. Hey, Roland, long time no see. I was just looking for you. You two, in the car. Now. Ramon's got business with you. Interior, Ramon's house, night. Ramon, short, muscular, bald, sits at his desk. 2 large bodyguards on either side of him. They sit at parade rest. Roland looks out a window at the far side of the room. Alice and Mickey sit across from Ramon. Alice fidgets, playing with her hair. Mickey looks completely calm. Ramon pulls a piece of paper from his pocket. He unfolds it and places it on the desk. It's a newspaper. The headline reads, Disgraced. Former longsword champion. Son of notorious Chicago crime boss arrested for tax evasion. License revoked. Alice audibly swallows. Mickey casts his head down. You want to know something? When you two first came to Chicago, Mr. Columbo was livid. He traveled all the way here, organized a meeting with all the big players, and said that if anyone, and I mean anyone, tried protecting you two, it would be all-out war. It really would have been too. You had the backing you needed. But you know why you two didn't wind up in some landfill your first weekend? Alice and Mickey are silent. I vouch for you. Alice and Mickey look at each other. Mickey, we were like brothers. Your father treated me like one of his own. I never forgot that debt, and so I made a deal with Mr. Columbo. And what was this deal exactly? What the deal was doesn't matter. The important part is that you two were very expensive to save. And so when you two crossed me, I felt betrayed. This wasn't just some punk has-been with a smoking problem. This was family. That cut deep. Hey, Ramon, I'm talking here. So anyway, that brings us to today's business. It's time to pay up, you two. Ramon gestures to one of his bodyguards. The guard hands him a gun. Ramon places it on the table. Alice is completely frozen. Mickey still looks unperturbed. So, here's how it's gonna play out. Only one of you is making it out of here alive today. The other, well, let's just say that landfill I was talking about earlier is gonna be a bit less empty tonight.
Can't you just give us a warning? Anything?
Tears are beginning to roll down Alice's cheek. Mickey's expression hasn't changed, but beads of sweat are beginning to form on his head. You already got a warning the first time you crossed me. Ramon points to Mickey's scar. Sorry, I figured this time you two need a little tough love. Ramon hands the gun to Mickey. Mickey, I want you to decide. Mickey looks down at the gun. Either shoot yourself and end your suffering, or... Ramon looks at Alice. She's shaking uncontrollably. And don't try anything stupid. Sound of Ramon's guards cocking their guns. Mickey stares into Alice's eyes. Interior, Madison Square Garden, night. And the winner, and still undisputed longsword champion, Mickey Morrison. The crowd is wild. Mickey raises his hand in the air, screaming in victory. He turns and looks at Alice, who aside from the opponent's corner, is the only one who doesn't seem to be smiling. She looks at him with fear in her eyes. Interior, Ramon's house. Focus is on Alice's eyes, wide with fear. Directly in parallel to the previous scene, Mickey takes a deep breath and cocks the gun. Fade to black. Bang! The end.
So, what did you think? Honestly, I think for what it is, it's actually a pretty solid story, all things considered. So for the record, this is actually the first draft of the story. I actually did 2 rewrites of it in the screenwriting class. I chose not to do the second or the third version, even though on a technical level, I think they are better screenplays overall, because this first version was actually closer to my original vision. Because like the way the class worked, the class voted on which screenplay we got to do for our rewrites out of 3 options. I had the comic, which honestly really wasn't a very good screenplay. Its only significance is that's how I came up with the idea for the Nobunaga universe originally. I had Cold Steel and I had the Alpha chapter for the Nobunaga universe in Cold Steel 1. But the rewrite, the way that it worked is our professor would choose a plot twist that we had to follow for our screenplay and try to adjust it for our first rewrite. And then for the final rewrite, we could do whatever we wanted. But my final rewrite was very heavily influenced by that plot twist that my professor came up with, which admittedly was a good plot twist, but it still was a little bit different from what I had originally envisioned. So I just wanted to show the raw, unfiltered MHJ makes of the story, if you will. But yeah. Anyway, I was watching Lindy Jung vlog, and she mentioned in one of her vlogs that she doesn't like go into her stories trope first or like motif first or whatever. But like, I am 1000% one of those people. I absolutely go into a trope first. Not like a TikTok book top type tropes where it's like, oh, gotta have like a love triangle. But I'm like, you know what? If I want to make like a fusion of Dragon Ball Z, Bleach, and Breaking Bad, you know what? I'm gonna do it. There's not a thing that you can do to stop me. Ha! Like, that's the beauty of creating things, ladies and gentlemen. Within the limits of time, money, and copyright/trademark law, which admittedly, none of those are very small hurdles, you can create whatever you want, man. Like, let's say that there was a video game that, like, you were a big fan of, and they haven't made a true sequel for it in, like, 15, 16 years, and its current legacy is that it's like a pachinko game somewhere or something. You can make that sequel that you wanted. I mean, obviously, if you want to avoid getting sued, you can't make it like an actual sequel. You're gonna have to, like, make it like its own original IP. But, like, for all intents and purposes, it's that sequel that you wanted. So, yeah, I guess the moral of the story is, if you're too afraid of coming up with that wild idea, go ahead and do it. I mean, literally, I am a guy in a party hat, sunshades, and a fake ninja mask, and I'm still doing stuff. So I 100% guarantee that what you can create is probably 1,000 times better. But yeah, anyway, this is a fun little story. I actually threw in a fair amount of Easter eggs in it too. For example, Mickey's last name Morrison, that comes from Tommy Morrison, who was a heavyweight boxer back in the 90s. He also played as Tommy Gunn in Rocky V. There's that one fight card, Hardy versus Keem. Hardy comes from Tom Hardy, who played in the MMA movie Warrior. Oh, that's another thing, I forgot. Yeah, Mickey, that comes from Mickey Goldmill. Burgess Meredith's character in Rocky, that's another thing. So it's like two Rocky things in one. I also think it's kind of funny. My most recent story that I did a live reading on was this like really cute children's story, bedtime story, and now we go to this, and it's like, I'm just showing off my diversity as a writer, everyone. That's it. Anyway, as per usual, links for all the YouTube videos / channels that I mentioned in the comments section. Like, comment / subscribe if you want. Don't if you don't want to. And yeah, see ya.